Coming up on Global Business, empowering growth, China will provide substantial financial support for equipment upgrades and trade-ins of consumer goods, aiming to stimulate domestic demand and support the economy. Trade triumph. Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao's visit to Italy highlights surging bilateral trade between the two countries, which has surged to nearly $80 billion in the last 5 years. Interest rates. European Central Bank maintains record high key interest rates, anticipates potential cut in June amid easing inflation. From CGTN headquarters here in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Xia Vandenberg. China is set to provide substantial financial backing for companies participating in the program of equipment upgrades and trade-ins of consumer goods with the aim of stimulating domestic demand and bolstering the economy. The National Development and Reform Commission said today that there will be financial support from central investment, central fiscal funds, and other sources for large-scale equipment upgrades and consumer goods trade-ins. Additionally, government plans to offer tax incentives and interest rate subsidies for firms involved in equipment upgrades. This move aligns with the country's recent issuance of an action plan to promote an initiative aimed at boosting investment and consumption. The deputy head of the NDRC, Zhao Chenxi, added that China's annual investment in equipment upgrades in key industrial and farm sectors will exceed 5 trillion yuan, or about $700 billion. China's Consumer Price Index, or CPI, the main gauge of inflation, showed a slower growth trajectory, primarily driven by reduced prices in food and travel services. Official data indicates a modest 0.1% year-on-year increase in CPI. The increase was 0.6 percentage points lower than the previous month. Meanwhile, the growth of China's Producer Price Index, or PPI, which measures costs for goods at the factory gate, also slowed, with a 2.8% decline compared to the previous year. This downturn is attributed to the resumption of industrial activity, resulting in an ample supply of industrial goods and subsequent downward pressure on production prices. It's a maritime first for China. The country has just achieved its first bunkering, the process of providing fuel and supplies to ships, of a green methanol-enabled container vessel in Shanghai.
This large container vessel owned by shipping giant Maersk runs on green methanol. It stopped at Yangshan port in Shanghai for the first ever bunkering of a methanol-fueled vessel in China.
Look how huge it is. It says all the way to zero because the fuel of this container vessel has zero carbon emission. Let's get on board to find out more.
This ship has 10 cargo holds. If one cargo hold is filled with water, the volume of water would be enough to fill 19 Olympic swimming pools. The cargo holds are equipped with dual-fuel engines, capable of using both green methanol and traditional fuel.
Compared with those vessels of similar size that use traditional heavy-grade oil, this container vessel can save about 280 tons of carbon emission each day. That is equivalent to the carbon absorption of about 15,000 large trees annually.
So it is a meaningful reduction when you look at the transport of goods around the world. There are 250 methanol power ships that are under construction right now or on order across Asia.
According to a report from McKinsey, more than 95% of ships today are powered by internal combustion engines that run on various petroleum products, such as heavy fuel oil and diesel oil. Vincent Clerc, CEO of Maersk, is calling for a gradual increase of methanol and is optimistic about the Chinese market's green prospects.
We still do not have enough methanol, green methanol, available to power all of the ships that are on order. A lot is being done here in China, which is really, really fantastic, but we need to see more projects come online in China and elsewhere in the world so that this is not only an intention, but this is actually an action.
On the regulatory side, he suggests that countries should set up a global fuel standard to contribute to achieving carbon neutrality. Zhu Zhu, CGTN, Shanghai.
China's Quanzhou has gained recognition as the birthplace of the Xinjiang experience, a vibrant ecosystem that has fostered the growth of private economies. Over the past 2 decades, Quanzhou has prioritized the development of robust real economy, exhibiting exceptional foresight in identifying emerging industries and a relentless drive for innovation.
Panpan Foods, a well-known privately operated brand, exemplifies the success achieved by Chunzhou's private enterprises. With 28 years of development, Panpan Foods has consistently demonstrated a keen understanding of consumer trends and a curiosity for new ideas. By staying in tune with the times and consumer demands, as well as embracing technological innovation, Panpan Foods has been able to transform its industry.
From my perspective, staying abreast of the times and aligning with customer trends while actively pursuing technological innovation are pivotal for driving industrial transformation. We have established collaborative partnerships with scientific research institutions and industry experts in the food field.
Today at Panpan Smart Factory, advanced 5G technology meticulously analyzes and manages every minute aspect of the dough, from fermentation to baking, resulting in heightened automation, improved efficiency, enhanced quality, and reduced costs. The application of new technologies not only fosters the development of innovative products, but also paves the way for new industrial trends. Chunzhou Qingneng Tech, a renewable energy company known as the Battery Hospital, plays a crucial role in the recycling of ex-service batteries from new energy automobiles. These batteries, which are sent to Chunzhou Qingneng Tech in significant numbers, undergo a recycling process that aligns with the sustainability principles.
Through our efforts, we have successfully achieved zero emissions of wasted water, gas, and liquid.
Qingneng Tech also seeks technical support from college and university laboratories, collaborating closely with Recycling Economy Research Center of the School of Environment at Tsinghua University. This partnership aims to overcome critical technical constraints in the field. Xinhepend takes pride in its impressive collection of 132 national invention patents. These patented products contribute significantly to the company's overall sales revenue, accounting for 70% of the total.
One of our most notable achievements is the development of nuclear paint, which is considered the crown jewel in the paint industry. It has been an arduous journey, as there are less than 10 firms worldwide capable of producing this specialized paint. However, through hard work and determination, we have successfully mastered the technology behind nuclear paint.
Driven by a steadfast commitment to keeping pace with the times and fostering technological innovation, Chunzhou's private enterprises have experienced remarkable leaps in development and growth. With confidence and determination, they have embarked on a journey to make their mark in the global economic arena.
You're watching Global Business, still to come. Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao's visit to Italy highlights surging bilateral trade between the two countries, which has surged to nearly $80 billion in the last 5 years.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao is in Italy on the next leg of his Europe trip. Bilateral trade is on the agenda of his meetings with Italian officials. Trade between the two countries has surged from $50 billion to nearly $80 billion in the last 5 years. Alex Fraser has more from Milan.
Well, I think first and foremost, he wants to show that China is open to business and to European investment, and particularly Italian investment. Today, behind me at the Hotel dei Cavalieri in the center of Milan, they had an Invest in China event with business leaders from across Italy and China, sponsored by the Commerce Ministry in China. And that was all about showing this cooperation and starting to work together on stuff and to try and attract European investment in China. And that's here in the economic powerhouse of Milan. And tomorrow Wen Tao will go to the other economic powerhouse in Italy, and that's the region of Veneto. And he's going to be visiting a bilateral business and dialogue forum in Veneto, in Verona, sorry. And then he will be going to Venice for an event celebrating the life of Marco Polo at the University in Venice, and particularly Italy and Chinese relations. Now, this visit comes at a time when you had Tajani, the Italian foreign minister, Antonio Tajani, visited China back in September, and Wen Tao then said that he would welcome more Italian investment. And at the moment, Italy's relations with China under the Meloni government had begun to change from previous administrations. Italy declined to renew the Belt and Road Agreement in December with China, but the two countries still have a lot of annual trade between them. In 2023, for example, that was at nearly $80 billion. And in the past, there's been a lot of Chinese investment in Italy, particularly in this city, Milan, and across the north of Italy in all sorts of industries. And I think this visit will hope that Italian investment will make its way to China too. So it's clear that this trip is all about wanting to continue good relations between the two countries, despite Italy not being involved in Belt and Road, and for economic cooperation in the future, and of course, cultural partnerships too.
Now, for more discussions on China-Italy ties, let's bring in Wang Le, a researcher at the Center for European Studies of East China Normal University. Wang Le, good to see you. So what are the significant achievements of Wen Tao's recent visit to Italy in terms of economic and trade cooperation?
The first day of the forum entitles an event celebrating Marco Polo and bilateral relations in Venice, as well as a meeting of the Italy-China Joint Economic Commission. The Italy-China Joint Economic Committee is a main instrument for economic and trade cooperation with China, and is one of the dialogue mechanisms of the Global Strategic Partnership established in 2004. Since Minister Tajani's visit to Beijing last September, the CEM is a major high-level political appointment with China in 2024. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the Global Strategic Partnership between Italy and China, and also the 700 years anniversary of Marco Polo's death. China and Italy wish to inaugurate a new chapter in relations and invest in bilateral relationships. Italy government is willing to enhance dialogue on optimizing the business environment and policy making for foreign policy, and also is welcoming the Chinese delegation in a highly industrial and export-oriented territory.
How do these achievements align with the long-term strategic objectives of Sino-Italian relations?
Since 2019, the Italy-China Joint Economic Committee is coordinated and organized on the Italian side by the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs, and is held at the ministerial level. Trade between Italy and China in the past 4 years has set new records and putting Rome in the forefront at the European level among countries that have trade relations with China. Italy is the EU country that signed the most agreements with China, especially when it comes to the export of agricultural products. China is also Italy's first Asian commercial partner, with volume reached in 2022 reaching a new record of over $27 billion. So the Business and Dialogue Forum held alongside the Joint Economic Committee aims to foster discussions and cooperation in priority sectors for economic and trade collaboration, such as agri-industry, e-commerce, investment, pharmaceutical, and biomedical sectors. The Foreign Minister Tajani emphasized Rome's commitment to strengthening the promotion of Italian products in China by overcoming trade barriers and attracting qualified investments without endangering the need to protect national strategic assets.
Now, looking ahead, what do you think are the future areas of focus for collaboration between China and Italy?
China and Italy are highly complementary in fields such as green economy, ecological construction, technology innovation, and high-end manufacturing. And there is broad space for future cooperation. China welcomes more trade and investment from Italian businesses and invests them to promote high-quality products and services through exhibition platforms such as CIIE and Hainan Expo. China has comprehensive advantages in supporting industries, infrastructure, and human resources. Cost-effective consumer goods and electronic products imported from China helps Italy curb inflation, where raw materials and industrial semi-finished goods contributed a lot for Italy companies to control costs and maintain competitiveness. So as the two countries accelerating low carbon and digital economic transformations, relative enterprises can fully seize opportunities and strengthen cooperations in areas such as digital finance, the Internet of Things, new energy, modern agriculture, and biomedicine. So this will allow both sides to leverage new business opportunities and achieve new developments.
All right, thank you so much for your insights. Really appreciate your time. Wang Le, researcher at the Center for European Studies of East China Normal University. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce logged a solemn representation with the European Union in Brussels on Wednesday, asserting that the EU's decision to initiate an investigation into wind turbine suppliers from China bluntly violates the principles of free trade. Ministry spokesman He Yadong said on Thursday that the EU's decision severely disrupts the normal cooperation between Chinese and European industries, exemplifies typical protectionism, and will significantly affect global efforts to address climate change and the green transition process. He said the move would undermine the confidence of enterprises from various countries investing in the EU and weakens mutual trust between China and the EU. He also stated that China will closely monitor the EU's subsequent actions, reserve the right to take necessary measures, and resolutely defend the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese enterprises.
Chinese wind power and other new energy enterprises have achieved rapid development and gained competitive advantages globally through sustained technological innovation, a well-established production and supply chain system, and vigorous market competition. This success cannot be compensated for by any subsidy. The EU cannot, on one hand, raise the banner of climate change mitigation and advocate for green cooperation, while on the other hand, wield the club of protectionism.
China-EU collaboration in combating the climate crisis has great potential, especially in terms of promoting technological cooperation, new energy, low carbon, and green transition. That's according to experts focusing on China and the EU's joint efforts to address climate issues. CGTN's Gao Ang has the story.
Last year, I reported on the COP28 climate summit in Dubai, the biggest of its kind. There, policymakers, scientists, and entrepreneurs gathered for talks and negotiations. Topics discussed back then continue to impact our everyday life on every continent. These topics include transition away from fossil fuel, switching to electric vehicles, and international cooperation.
We're in the beginning of the end of the coal, oil, and gas-driven economy, and that China shows leadership there. And China is already doing that on electric mobility, on solar voltaics, being a driver on what's happening in the car industry globally, thanks to the major efforts occurring in China.
The Chinese EV market obviously is, you could call it a matured one compared to other countries. So it's great. You don't have to go to China and explain about how great electromobility is. Actually, everybody knows about it. So it's a highly competitive, advanced market for electromobility.
And a key word for combating the climate crisis is international collaboration, which has also been a bright spot for China-EU cooperation.
In Europe, we need to consider local actual needs, collaborate to adjust and transform the energy structure, promote renewable clean energy, and increase the substitution of traditional energy, and ensure energy supply. Second, we can engage in technical cooperation.
Luo said there's broad room for cooperation in new energy, electronic components, hydrogen energy, nuclear energy, and other areas.
At the same time, China and the EU can collaborate in various aspects such as technology, products, and investments to develop other markets. Besides China and Europe, other regions around the world face similarly urgent energy issues and challenges.
Luo said China's clean energy resources are primarily located in the northwest region, while the clean energy market is mostly in the southeast. And the mismatch between resource distribution and market demand has promoted initiatives such as the West-East Power Transmission Program and other projects aimed at aligning resources with market needs. And this could offer lessons for countries facing similar challenges and also room for cooperation in green solutions and technology. Gao Ang, CGTN, Beijing.
This is just in. Chinese President Xi Jinping expresses condolences to President of Mozambique, Filipe Nyusi, on the deadly sinking of a makeshift ferry. The shipwreck occurred on Sunday near the island of Mozambique in Mozambique's northern province of Nampula. You're watching Global Business, still to come. European Central Bank maintains record high key interest rate, anticipates potential cut in June amid easing inflation.
Here on Biz Talk, we connect the dots, shedding light on the real stories behind the economic landscape. To better understand China's dynamism and the economies and rhythms of business, propelling new drivers of growth.
China.
Chinese market. Biz Talk, your window into China and the global economy. Only on Biz Talk.
The European Central Bank has maintained its key interest rate unchanged at 22-year high of 4%, while paving the way for a potential cut in June as inflation eases. Now, for more updates on the lender's rate decision and the subsequent market reaction, let's cross to Peter Oliver in Berlin. Hi there, Peter. So, do you anticipate ongoing challenges for individuals seeking to borrow money in Europe?
Well, it's not great news for anybody wanting to borrow money, whether that's the person looking for a mortgage or the business looking to develop. In fact, just behind me in the German Economy Ministry, I imagine there's quite a few heads being scratched right now because they've been desperately looking for ways to embolden, invigorate German businesses and get them out of the slump that has really plagued German business for far too long now. We've lurched from recession to stagnation to recession to stagnation. Well, one thing we know for certain after this news from the ECB, nobody's going to be borrowing large sums of money in the short-term future anyway to expand businesses because it's going to be far too expensive. It's going to remain far too expensive as it has been since September. It also has a direct impact, though, on individuals looking to take out things like mortgages. They are incredibly expensive here in Germany right now. In fact, that has a huge impact on the construction sector. If we look at the residential side of the construction sector in Germany, they're expecting that to contract by around 6% for 2024 because people just aren't taking out the mortgages to build houses here. Now, home ownership in Germany is at nowhere near the levels it is in countries like China, but the dream of owning a home is still a dream that many people have in Germany, and it is becoming an unreachable one at the moment, certainly with borrowing levels the way they are. I'm going to leave you on this point with a bit of good news, though, because you have to, don't you? You have to look for the silver linings in this point. If you have money, it's a good time to put it in a bank account because that 4% rate is going to remain. So savers, it's good news for them. And yeah, if you've got money, put it in the bank account because you're the only ones getting any good news at the moment out of this particular bit of news from Christine Lagarde and the ECB.
Now, I guess the question that most homeowners and also business owners want to ask now is, what is the anticipated duration of this record high borrowing costs in the Eurozone?
Yeah, June seems to be the way the runes are falling at the moment. June seems to be the time that we're expecting a cut. Now, they're basing this on the way that inflation is coming down slightly faster than they were expecting. The ECB wants to see inflation at 2% across the Eurozone. If you cast your mind back, not that long ago, it was all over the place. You were looking at 4%, you were looking at 5%. It's nowhere near that anymore. Just February here in Germany, we were at 2.5%. Across the Eurozone, it's now at 2.4%. They're fairly confident they can get that down to 2% by next month. So that's well ahead of the schedule they'd set themselves for the end of 2024. We're expecting to see rates cut in June. We're also expecting to see no ECB meetings perhaps in the autumn to let things breathe and see how they go after cutting the rates, and see what effect that has on the markets after that, and also see what impact this all has across the Atlantic on the Fed.
Yep, definitely. Thank you so much for your update. Peter Oliver, live for us from Berlin. Now for a look at what else is making the news in leading European economies. Bank of England policymaker Megan Greene has emphasized that interest rate cuts in the UK should remain a way off due to persistent inflation pressure. Italy's industrial output registered its 13th consecutive annual decline in February, highlighting ongoing challenges in the country's industrial production. Germany's Deutsche Bank raised 3 billion yuan through a Panda bond issuance in China, marking the largest issuance in 6 years. Panda bond refers to onshore RMB-denominated debt issued in China by overseas companies. And that will do it for this edition of Global Business. I'm Xiao Vandenberg in Beijing. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.